Alrighty, while we're between tunes, I'd like to take a second and introduce our two wonderful trumpet players this year. If you guys wouldn't mind standing just and giving a wave. We have from your left to your right, we have Eli and Graham. Let's give them a round of applause. As you probably noticed up here, there's a variety of brass instruments. You guys can sit down. Thanks. The highest sounding brass instrument we tend to hear in middle school at HMS is the trumpet, which you just saw. And we'll work our way down from highest sounding to middle sounding to lowest sounding as the afternoon goes on. Our next piece is entitled, I guess appropriately, Trumpet Tune, although it was originally written for trumpets, which in the Baroque era were considered outside instruments because they were too loud to be played inside. Nowadays, trumpet tune has been performed by orchestras, by bands, by chamber groups of all kinds. So I hope you enjoy this as Trumpet Tune.
Yes, I'll go with that happens. Question before we play. Let's do it. Here we go. One, two, ready?
Alrighty, we're going to continue along with introducing some other members of the group. So we're going to go to your far right on trombone, which is one of our middle sounding instruments in the brass ensemble. We have Julia Schmidt, and Julia, if you wouldn't mind standing. We can give Julia a round of applause for trumpets too. Thank you, thank you. And while we're talking about instruments, we have our lowest sounding instrument, the tuba, in the center, and in the middle we have Brian. Brian, if you wouldn't mind standing, let's give him a round of applause. Thanks, Brian. So one of the things that I love about, like I mentioned earlier, that I love about chamber music is everybody has an opportunity to kind of shine, to be their own person and their own person on a part. We do some smaller arrangements of things. You might be used to hearing 18 different parts if you go hear a concert band, like the 6th or 7th or 8th grade band. We only really have 3 or 4, because we only really have 3 or 4 different instruments on the stage. But it's amazing what we can do with just 3 or 4 different people. Our next piece is entitled Vicksburg March. Funny story about Vicksburg, which is down south. I have a friend that actually lives there, and I posted at one point, "Hey, we're doing Vicksburg March." And he replied, "There's a Vicksburg March? I've lived there my whole life and I never knew." So I introduced him to Vicksburg March. Hope you enjoy. This is our version of Vicksburg March. So this one, remember, we've got that ESL coda toward the end. Go back to 3. When you hit the 2 coda, we jump to the question before we play. Awesome. You guys sound great. Here we go. Cool. So, fun fact about brass playing for those of you that maybe have never played a brass instrument, although I know there are some brass players out there in the audience as well. You might hear or see every once in a while, sometimes brass players when they're resting, when they're in between things, might rub their face a little bit or something like that. First of all, that is very normal in the brass playing world, so don't be alarmed. But what they're doing is they're actually getting the lactic acid that has built up in their facial muscles, what we call our embouchure, to disperse back into the rest of their body. It's the same as when an athlete stretches or maybe does a short walk after finishing a mile run. That's essentially what they're doing, is they're getting that lactic acid out of those muscles. So it's very normal, don't be alarmed. That is something we do as brass players. Our next piece is entitled London Derriere, otherwise known as Danny Boy. For this one, we'll all be playing the melody, so I hope you enjoy Danny Boy. Okay, here we go, straight. 1 and 2. Alrighty, folks, we got two more left for you today. Our next piece is a traditional Mexican folk song entitled De Colores. If you've ever watched Sesame Street, some older episodes of Sesame Street, that's how I was introduced to this song. This song is kind of unique compared to what we've been doing so far. For everything else that you've done, although you may not have known this from the audience, everybody had their same part that they kept the entire time through. This one is unique because halfway through the song, the people playing each part switch. So you're going to hear each person get to play each part. We hope you enjoy. This is De Colores.
Question for you. Remember that you switch. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, ready.
Alrighty, well believe it or not, we've come to the end of our program. We have one more piece for you entitled Stompin' Feet Blues, which I'll introduce in just a second. When we finish today, if you'd like to hang out for a little bit, we have some snacks, treats, and fun things on the table down there. Feel free to partake. Thank you so much for coming, whether you're here in person or live in cyberspace. After we finish, I'm going to ask my brass ensemble folks to help me pack up sculptures and stands and instruments and things, and then they'll be out to join you. Our final tune today is entitled Stompin' Feet Blues. As the name suggests, you might see and hear some stomping of feet as we play. We hope you enjoy. Here's Stompin' Feet Blues. Ready? Here we go. Hey friends, thank you so much for coming out, whether you're live and in person or watching the streaming. That is the conclusion of the concert. Feel free to come up, grab a couple snacks and enjoy. We'll be back in just a minute or two once we've cleaned up the stage, but thank you all so much for coming and supporting these great students. They've worked really, really hard all year, and I really appreciate your support of them. Thanks everybody for a great time. See you in a sec. 30 minutes in a row with no break is no joke. You guys did a great job. Yeah. You guys did awesome.